Hi, Joko here. I was inspired after reading a submission from a student from a participant in the IELTS Tips and Tricks um, uh, group here on Facebook to not just give feedback, but compare her essay, which another mentor also chipped in and said, yeah, this is really good, compared to something else, and look at the fine shades between a 7 and an 8 in a task 2 writing paper. But before we jump into that, I want to say something about the nature of who I'm talking to. Who are you? All right, now, if you're trying to get a band 6.5, this conversation might not be for you. If you're stuck at a 6.5 and you've got 8s in reading and listening, then you should pay attention. Or if you're shooting for an 8.5 and you're really good, you're shooting for an 8. This will maybe unlock some of the final pieces. Now, rarely do we run into candidates in this massive group who are new to the idea of IELTS. It does have people wander in here going, I don't know anything. You got to start someplace else. This is the finishing grounds. This is where you submit your sample essays. Well, you can do other things, of course, but it's where okay, I'm ready to go. I need to get some feedback, and I can't afford any more training. Well, of course you can. You can afford the IELTS. But if you're like wanting to learn how to write an IELTS essay, it's very important that you do it from the right people. Because the biggest challenge that I see, and I think most of the mentors would agree with me, is not that people haven't learned how to write an IELTS essay, is that they've learned it the incorrect way. Or they've been taught things that they've taken, that some incorrect teachers have gone too far with, and have taken what might have been good advice and gone too far to the point where language is used like a game as opposed to a means of communication. Remember that the IELTS test is designed to test your ability to communicate in the English language, to do certain things. And in task 2, it is to write an essay which has a particular purpose. The purpose is to fulfill the band descriptors, but one of the band descriptors is that it needs to satisfy the requirements of the task, that it answers the question, that it responds to the task at hand. And so it's not a writing task that is separated from the context of the topic. What I mean is, you can't just take any topic and write the same IELTS essay using the same structures and the same words. Obviously not the same topic words, but the point is that the biggest challenge that people trying to go from a 7 to an 8, or get to a 6.5 to a 7, often face is overcoming the incorrect things that they've been taught. And they think they're doing the right thing, but not necessarily. Keep that in mind. What I said when I was inspired was, it's like, hey, this could possibly be a Band 8 essay. That's great. We need more of these. However, it's maybe not, because it still has some weaknesses. So instead of just doing a regular feedback, I'm going to compare it to another essay written by an anonymous source. And I want you, the watcher, to compare the two paragraphs, A and B, and you decide which is better. And then I'll tell you which is better, and then we'll do a breakdown of each. Okay? So, The question probably wasn't the best question. You don't know, you can't control what questions the candidates use. But this question here, I have to click something else first, right? Yeah. Oh, that's right. With this thing, you don't get any of the cool things that you get with PowerPoint. I'm using a different format. It's called using a PowerPoint as a Zoom backdrop. All right, so the question is, as you can see it on the screen, government should spend more money on railways rather than roads. To what extent do you agree? I put the second part in. Now, this is a rewording of an actual IELTS question, which states, some people think that government should spend more money on railways as opposed to where others think that roads are the better way to discuss both views and give your own opinion. Now, this is that same topic converted rather ham-handedly into a to what extent do you agree or disagree question. So it's kind of a flawed question to begin with, but topic-wise it's fine, and it's not too flawed. All right, and so that's why we call it trains versus roads. So I'll skip the. Well, this isn't a normal lesson for me. Oh, I miss all the trans. Oh yeah, see all of that, all the and all that cool stuff goes away. Okay, but I can go away too. Much smaller. Hello, sit over here. Okay. So intro A, intro B. I'm not going to tell you which one is the candidates and which one is the anonymous source. Let's just listen to them first. I do believe that listening to them. Whoa. Okay, hang on. I don't want it to be full screen like that. Okay. Can I? No. You can't do anything with PowerPoint when you're using it as a virtual backdrop? Is that right? All right, I'm going to pause this.
Whether governments nowadays should be spending more money on railways as opposed to allocating resources on roads is becoming a hotly debated topic. I agree with those who believe that it is the railroad systems that need foremost propagation. This essay will elucidate my opinion in the following paragraphs.
Okay, so that's intro A. Now here's intro B.
When it comes to transportation systems, some people believe that the government should invest more money on railways instead of roads. In my opinion, I agree with this statement since I believe that investing on railways is more beneficial.
Okay, so which one is the beginning, is the superior? Well, let's forget about which one's Band 8 and Band 7, because you can't say Band 7, Band 8 on a single paragraph. But which paragraph do you think is more effective, satisfying the role that a introduction to a task 2 should ideally take? Okay, which one do you think is better in that regard? Okay, decide now. Intro A is the caricature, is a sort of the first thing that it does that is something, is a myth, that's something that you should do, is begin your paragraph, your essay with a statement about how such and such is becoming more debatable, or is a hotly debated topic these days, or is of increasing discussion. Oh no, those are the two that really bug me. Yeah, okay, is a hotly debated topic now, is becoming, or is becoming more debatable. Don't do that, particularly when this one actually might be, but most of the time that's being used with topics that people aren't talking about. So don't include one of those ridiculous statements. Okay, note, both introductions talk about some people believe. Is that in the question? It was in the original question as it was written 3 years ago, but it's not in this question. It just makes a statement. It doesn't talk about some people. So don't talk about some people and other people when it's a to what extent do you agree question. All right. And then I threw in some ridiculous vocabulary like, okay, spending opposed to allocating resources on. I don't believe it. Foremost propagation. Okay, that's the kind of vocabulary people throw in because they think it will improve their score because it's not common. There's a reason it's not common. We don't use it. Anyway, don't be funny, Joko. Just get to the point. Yeah, and you don't elucidate in the following paragraphs. Where else? Don't include these outline sentences unless for very certain reasons, which I won't go into, but if you're looking at a band 7 or a band 8, you don't need these sentences at the end down here. Okay? This one's not bad, but, okay, a couple of things. Believe that the government. Which one? Is there just one? I think governments works better here. In my opinion, I agree. Don't include both of these ideas in a single sentence. In my opinion, I agree. Well, is your opinion that you agree, or is your opinion something else? Oh, you agree. You agree that this is a good idea. Oh, that is your opinion. Those two things don't ever go together. In my opinion, I agree. Okay? All right. I agree with this statement. In my opinion, this statement is true. One or the other, not both. Investing in. Okay. Since is very informal, and don't explain your opinion in the first paragraph of an opinion essay. You can state it, but don't explain it. You'll either be, you think it's more beneficial. Well, of course, that's why you think that way. But because that's almost like saying, in my opinion, I agree with this statement since it's correct, or since it's good. You know, it's not, doesn't add anything to the essay. So, good or crazy, good could be better. All right, next.
Trains can be considered as the safest mode of transportation. Trains have a fixed route and do not share their routes with other vehicles like buses and cars, and as a result, trains are less likely to engage in accidents compared to other modes of transportation. A relatively low number of accidents and accident-related injuries would imply less burden on the government's health care system and the cost associated with them.
It is without question that railways are undoubtedly the safest mode of transportation today by far. As their pathways do not intercede with alternative vehicles' routes, the incidence of unforeseen accidents is lower. Moreover, the burgeoning healthcare costs inflicting every society today would thereby be reduced.
So, with this one, here's again the column on the right. This was from the good essay. But not without problems. Okay, in the first instance. An instance is an example. This is not a correct connector for to a body paragraph. All right. Can be considered, or are they? Right. Remember, this is the side you agree with. You don't need this language of hedging, okay, this language of uncertainty. Can be considered. No, they are. They are the safest mode of transportation. That's what you think. So not can be considered. You're trying to use grammar, trying to show off with your grammar by using structures that, although are used in academic essays, they're not used in this position in this case. Trains have a fixed route. Trains, why did I put yellow for, anyway. Trains, no, they don't have a route. They use or run a route. Trains use routes, fixed routes, either way, Do not share. See, you put a plural in the second part of that sentence. Okay, with other vehicles. We know what the other vehicles are. We don't have to say what they are. And trains don't engage in accidents. Engagement is what I want people to do with my videos. Just because I spend the time making them and I want people to look at them. It's when you involve yourself in something. That's engagement. It's a big word nowadays. It's used more and more. Get it right. It doesn't mean to get in an accident. Okay, right. Engage. Right. The second part is redundant. And, okay, facts can't imply other facts. Facts have causal relations to one another. Okay, causal. Am I saying that right? Yeah. One causes the other. Lower accidents causes less burden on the government's healthcare system. So it doesn't imply it. So this paragraph is very flawed. But you got the right idea, just the wrong words. And the costs associated with them. Well, what other type of burden are there? That is the burden, costs. All right. So in the other question, again, this was written by me to sort of be a caricature of something that bugs me, and I see a lot in this level of trying to make your point more strongly by using overblown language, by going too far the other direction. Instead of railways and considered are the safest mode of transportation. It is not necessarily true that it is without question that railways are undoubtedly, and I just threw a grammar mistake in there for fun, today, by far. There's three extreme statements in one sentence. Don't include one of those, much less three. And once again, making fun of they don't have pathways, they don't intercede, and all accidents are unforeseen. And then the use of moreover. Okay? Do not use moreover. Just stop it. Okay? Don't. I'll explain why. Oh no. Collapse. Okay. Two big ones. Perhaps I was, we'll start with this one now. Foreshadowing my displeasure with the use of moreover in my previous paragraph. Because in the previous paragraph, you talked about in their Band 8 essay, how people's lives would be saved and governments would save money on healthcare. That's pretty important. The fact that people would have shorter commuting times isn't necessarily more important than that, is it? Is it more important than human lives that you save 30 minutes on your commute? It would be a hard argument to make. So the use of moreover is when the thing that follows the moreover is so much more important that it makes the thing that comes before it seem unimportant, or certainly less important than it did before. They're similar ideas. Okay, they're not contrasting. It means and more importantly. And this isn't necessarily more importantly. By building more railways, people will be able to commute long distances in short periods of time without facing any traffic jams along the way. Now, okay, fine. Now, why is that a good thing? That they can go long distances. Shouldn't they just go the same distance in shorter periods of time? Right. This is useful especially for the working class because they not only reach their work on time, but also feel less stressed out. All right. So now here, what is the benefit of that? What is the good thing about that? Okay. And they got some real structure problems here. This is useful, especially for the working class, because they would, okay, this is talking about future conditionals here, unreal conditionals. They would or they will. They would be better. They would reach their work on time more frequently, comma, but also feel they would experience less. Feel is really poor vocabulary there. Stressed out needs a hyphen. The introduction of bullet trains in Japan, for instance, good, has greatly improved the lives of Japanese commuters since their traveling time has significantly been reduced. Okay, working class people is what you were talking about, not Japanese people. Your example needs to demonstrate the thing that you were just talking about. Okay? And in this case, I think that since you're talking about people being on time and being less stressed out, your example needs to talk about people being on time and less stressed out. Now you can imply that. And I like I'm glad that no one's ever asked me, how do you know where to put the adverb? Where it sounds right. And their time has significantly been reduced. I guess that works. I would say has been reduced significantly, or has been significantly reduced. But significantly been reduced, they all work, but that's like the worst place for it. Over in our fake paragraph. Okay, now, what this essay does is it uses a cohesive device by connecting body paragraph 2 to the topic of body paragraph 1 overtly, directly, by using, beyond just road-related injuries. That was the topic of the last paragraph, right? Okay, so by using that in the topic sentence, you've created a cohesive bridge. Okay, so on, not just that. And this is what you meant by moreover anyway. Beyond just road-related injuries, the overall health and efficiency of the labor pool would be improved by better trades. Shorter commute times would help workers arrive at their jobs better rested and more energetic, increasing productivity. But perhaps more importantly, at the end of the day, their trip home would not be yet another source of stress. Okay, that's a long sentence. Most would agree that commuting is one of the most stressful parts of working today. Now, there's an example, and any reduction of that stress could do wonders. All right, so here, look at the last one. Hypertension is the most significant aggravating factor contributing to cardiac arrest, the leading cause of death worldwide. This is good support, okay, about why is it that reducing stress is important. Okay? All right, so, maybe employers want their workers to be stressed. Why is stress a bad thing? Because it leads to death. But that idea needs to be worked into the paragraph better. But this paragraph's better than this one. Next. Body paragraph 3. Now, in this young lady's essay, she included a body paragraph 3 which looked at the other side. Admittedly, roads being easier and cheaper to build can be seen as a sounder form of investment for the government. Good. Okay. Why? We don't explain that. Nevertheless, when compared with railways, roads present more costs. We don't present with. We present with symptoms. I bet you're in the medical field. In the long run, since they require more maintenance, such as road resurfacing and pavement reconstruction. Perfect. You brought up the other side. This goes to Band 8 of task response, where it says a fully developed response as opposed to opinion. There's words in there that are different in Band 8 than they are in Band 7. And that's what they mean. By a fully developed response, most mentors agree that means you have to look at both sides of the issue. This essay does that. It does it effectively without spending too much time on it. Spend enough and refutes it. Perfect. Conclusions. As governments are charged with protecting not just their economic development, but also our well-being, building more railways. It makes more sense. It includes government as well as the general public will benefit more from railways. Government should allocate more money. Both of those are fine. So, however, I think that this is the one that matters because you're the candidate's the one who wrote it. You need to summarize the opinions that you've made. Not just say it's more beneficial, will benefit more. It's better. That's really not saying anything. So, okay, and once again, in my opinion is superfluous here. We know it's your opinion at this point. You've said that already. So, a better, like this one talks about economic development, okay, mention that, and our well-being, okay, mention that. That was in the essay. So this summarizes and brings back the ideas in different words at the end. So good on this young person for, I don't know how young she is, but good on this, certainly younger than me, good on this person for writing an excellent essay, but you still have some problems with, as we talked about, words like benefit. Be more specific. Don't use grammar structures because you want to put them someplace in your essay. That not only, but also. That's just so, you got to have that in there somewhere, right? And that's fine, but put it where it fits. And, can be considered. Well, don't use that with the side you agree with. It is. Not just can be considered, it is. So there's still a few flaws. Hopefully this will help you work through those, but overall you're doing fine. Thanks for watching. I'm Joko.